Caps for Sale, a tale of a peddler, some monkeys, and their monkey business. Once, there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on the top of his head. First, he had his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very tippy top, a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight as to not upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street, and he walked down the street, calling, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," he said. And then he walked out of town, slowly, as to not upset his caps. He walked for a long time till he came to a great big tree. That's the place for a rest, he thought. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hands to feel if they were straight. First, he touched his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps at the very top. He must have very long arms. They were all there, and so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in back of him, no caps. And he looked behind the tree, still no caps. Then he looked up into the tree. And what do you think he saw? On every branch sat a monkey, and on every monkey was a gray, or a brown, or a blue, or a red cap. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking his fingers at them. "Give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tsk." This made the peddler angry. So he shook both his hands at them and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet right back at him and said, "Tsk." By this time, the peddler was really, really angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, At last he became so angry. That he pulled off his own cap and threw it on the ground and began to walk away. But then But then each monkey pulled off his cap. And all the gray caps, and all the brown caps, and all the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So, the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First, his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town, calling, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" The end. Too many carrots. Rabbit loved carrots. He collected them wherever he went. Rabbit was proud of his collection and burrowed it away in his cozy hole. But Rabbit had a problem. A big problem. He couldn't sleep. His cozy hole was too crowded to live in. "I need a place to sleep," Rabbit told Tortoise. "You can share my house," Tortoise offered. "It looks cozy and snug," Rabbit said. "Maybe it's a little too snug for two," suggested Tortoise. "Not at all," said Rabbit. Uh-oh. Oh dear. Ouch. Crash. "Oh dear. Well, maybe we can try the bird's nest," said Rabbit. "My nest is quite small, Rabbit," said Bird. "I'm sure we will all fit," Rabbit replied. Rabbit hauled all his carrots up the tree. "Whoa," groaned Tortoise and Bird as the branch wobbled and swayed and snapped. Crash! "I'm so sorry, Bird. Now 3 of us don't have a place to sleep." "You can sleep in my house," offered Squirrel. "Oh, thank you, Squirrel. How kind of you," said Rabbit. "I don't think any more carrots will fit, Rabbit," said Squirrel. "Just a few," Rabbit replied. "Uh-oh," whispered Tortoise and Bird and Squirrel. Creak, crack, crash. "Now 4 of us don't have anywhere to sleep," grumbled Squirrel. "You can sleep at my house," called Beaver. "I have plenty of space." "Great, I can bring even more carrots," said Rabbit with a smile. "But with all your carrots, we can't fit inside," said Beaver, a bit bewildered. Just then, the rain started. Tortoise shivered. Bird whimpered. Squirrel squeaked. And Beaver heard a terrible rumble as his house collapsed. "Oh no, my house!" yelled Beaver. "Oh no, my carrots!" cried Rabbit. Ah! Crash! The friends groaned as they swept up onto the riverbank. Rabbit felt terrible. His friends were cold, tired, and homeless, and it was all his fault. Even worse, Rabbit still had all his carrots and his house. That's when he realized there was only one thing to do. There we go. Share of everything with his friends. After all, carrots weren't for collecting, they were for sharing. And sharing made everything better. Splatipus. Lonely day on the bay. Platypus just wants to play. Where to go? Asks Platypus. Kangaroos, jumparoo! So he hollers, I'll jump too. Here comes Platypus, skipping, hopping, dripping, dropping. Look out! Splatipus. Far too jumpy, far too bumpy. This is not for Platypus. Not to be, but wait and see. I will find a place for me. Dingoes chase and run with grace. Platypus says, I'll go race. Stumble, bumble, take a tumble. Dizzy, spinny, Splatipus. That went wrong. Jumps up strong. Soon I'll find where I belong. Possum bound above the ground. Platypus will leap around. Hobble, wobble, giggle, wobble, or wiggle, wobble. Not again, he's Splatipus. Says goodbye with a sigh. I'll go somewhere else and try. Fruit bats fly across the sky. Platypus says, I'll soar high. Flapping, flopping, flipping, plopping. Double uh-oh, Splatipus. Nothing's easy, tummy's queasy. So discouraged, lost his courage. No more flying, I'm through trying, grumbles tired Platypus. Sun descends, and the daylight ends. Still no place, and still no friends. Poor, poor Platypus. Morning sun, the day's begun. Platypus whines, this won't be fun. But then he spies some swans swimming by. Soon penguins cry a soggy hi. His reply, though feeling shy, maybe I'll give one last try. Teeter-totter into the water. Jump in with splitter splatter. Kersplish, kersplash, Splatipus. Water wiggling, all are giggling. Diving, dipping, sliding, slipping. Yippee, you're Splatipus. Wait a minute, swimming is it. Looking around, at last he's found the perfect place for Splatipus. The end. Clumsy Nelson. Nelson was known as the clumsiest of all seals. He was always getting into trouble, every day of the week. I know how that goes. He bumped, and crashed, he thumped and bounced. Man. On Monday, he swam past a glass boat, banged his head, and got upset. On Tuesday, he decided to take a look at the beach. He found something red and interesting, and stuck his head in it. Then, Nelson couldn't pull his head out of the bucket. He squeaked and rolled back into the sea, until wise Octopus untangled his head. You certainly are the clumsiest of all seals, wise Octopus laughed. It's not my fault, Nelson replied. People shouldn't leave buckets on the beach. That's true. On Wednesday, he got trapped in a tire. Basking shark heaved him until he was free. On Thursday, Nelson was swimming near a boat when it discharged. Garbage surrounded Nelson. He couldn't see and got lost. Luckily, Dolphin kindly assisted him to find his way back home. On Friday, Nelson swam into a bottle, which hit Crab, who began to chase him with his claws. Tap, 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 tap. Poor Nelson glided sadly away. He decided to rest on the shore. A tear rolled onto his whiskers. "Why am I so clumsy?" Nelson sobbed to himself. As Nelson headed home, he heard squeaking. "Help! Help! 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 Help!" He swam around to try and find it. It got louder and louder. "Help! Help! Help! Where is this sound coming from?" Nelson dipped his head under the water. The sound was clear. It was a call for help. He sped faster than a rocket towards the voices. "Help! Help!" Nelson couldn't believe his eyes. Octopus, crab, dolphin, and basking shark were all caught up in a gray thing. "What is this new game?" asked Nelson. "This is no game," snapped Crab. "Please help us," said Basking Shark. "We're trapped." "This is a leftover fishing net made of plastic, so it will take hundreds of years to dissolve," said Wise Octopus. "Please untangle us." Nelson pulled and heaved. He pounced and dragged. But the friends were still caught in the net. "My teeth! I have sharp teeth. Maybe I can bite the monster away." "Clever, Nelson!" shouted his friends in unison. Nelson nibbled and bit. He chewed and sliced, shred and snapped. The net dropped away and his friends were free. Out popped Octopus. Out popped Dolphin. Out popped Crab. Out popped Basking Shark. From that day onward, Nelson the Clumsy Seal was called Nelson the Brave Seal. Just to make sure his tail stayed visible forever, there is now a statue of Nelson in Cornwall, England. If you look for it carefully, you will find it. Yay, coloring pages! The end. Inky, making new friends. Morning has come. Inky woke up feeling happy. He wanted to run around and play, so he got up and went to look for a friend to play with. He walked around and about and asked everyone he met, "Would you like to play with me?" "Oh no, you are so dirty," everyone said, "and you look weird." That's not very nice. And they all turned away. How rude. Inky felt so sad. He was unhappy. He felt so very lonely. Inky was upset. He ran away to hide in the playground. Then he saw a small creature who was made out of mud. It was jumping and whistling a happy tune. "Hello, I'm Muddy," said the cute lump of mud. "I love to play in the park. I like to do all kinds of funny things. I like to jump in the air. I like to roll on the ground. I like to run around. And I like to dance. Would you like to be my friend?" Inky smiled. He wasn't so sad anymore. He wasn't lonely anymore. He wasn't upset anymore. He was happy again. Yay! He just made a new friend. Inky and Muddy played and laughed. They jumped in the air and rolled on the ground and ran all around. And they danced. Suddenly, they saw a strange, big cloud. What can that be? "Hi there," said the giant cloud. I'm Dusty. No one wants to play with me. They say I'm too big. They say I'm covered with dust. I feel so lonely and sad. Maybe you will play with me. Maybe you will be my friends. Inky and Muddy looked at each other. But we are so small. And she is so big. Hey, it will be so much fun. Yeah, we will be your friends. Dusty smiled. She was happy now. She had just met new friends. Dusty's eyes sparkled with joy. She wasn't sad. She wasn't lonely. And she wasn't upset anymore. She was happy. The three friends played together in the playground. They jumped in the air. They rolled on the ground. They danced all around. And they ran all around. And they danced. It was so much fun. Until it was time to go home. Inky was tired, but felt happy with his new friends. Inky said goodbye to Bunny and Dusty. It was time to sleep now. Tomorrow, all the friends will meet and play again. Good night, Inky. Sleep tight. The end. Trip, Trap, Trouble. Fairy Tale Fraud. Remember the tale of the billy goat's gruff, the troll, and a bridge, and the big goat getting rough? That story's been told, but the goats had no grass, and went to a bridge where they struggled to pass. Some blame a poor troll, but I tell you it's lies. The troll is misjudged, and the truth will surprise. The goats were content till Big Billy Goat cried, "The grass looks much greener on that other side. That grass must be tasted, not wasted, I say. I've seen it, I want it. Let's set out today." Between the two sides was a deep, dark ravine. A large wooden bridge was the sole way between. A peace-loving troll underneath raised his head on hearing a trip-trapping song overhead. He won't be glad or satisfied until he's got the greenest side. The goats, having raced to the grass they had seen, exclaimed, "This is tender, so tasty and green." Well pleased with their choice, they all turned to compare. The big goat frowned and puzzled. "Now it's greener over there." The peace-loving troll heard a din the next day, the trip-trapping hooves passing back the same way. Intrigued, crept up and spied them advance. Three goats that were singing and doing a dance. Now I have the hiccups, oh no. He won't be glad or satisfied until he's got the greenest side. The troll watched them cross, turn around, and just stare. He heard them exclaim, "Well, it seemed greener there." The big goat then scowled. "I must have the best side." His friends rolled their eyes, looking quite horrified. So it continued, at times twice a day. The billy goat's gruff going this and that way. "It's clear," thought the troll, "that this noise will not cease unless I take steps to regain my lost peace." He tried. And he tried. And he tried. And he tried. But Big Billy Goat Gruff would not be satisfied. The other goats, tired and feeling quite torn, well loved the big goat, but their patience was worn. At last, they refused. "We are not leaving here," Big Billy Goat stormed. "But there's greener grass there!" The troll was surprised. He heard one set of hooves. He quickly climbed up. "Oh, I hope this improves." The big goat was fuming and on a short wick. He glared at the troll and gave him a swift kick. The troll seized the bridge, just avoiding a fall, but Big Goat just stormed off, not caring at all. Both were now deemed to plan right away Both were now determined to plan right away to stop this obsession the very next day. The noise the next day was the worst of its kind. With trip-traps and footsteps, the troll didn't mind. "We have grass samples," he heard someone say. "We'll send the results by the end of the day." At last, they all left. The troll popped up to spy. "I have to take care that no one is nearby." Then, cautiously checking to get it all right, the peace-loving troll laid out dynamite. The big goat had gone to make peace with his friends. The troll was now finished and checked the loose ends. Impatiently waiting, the goats heard their news. They raced to the bridge, not a moment to lose. The troll had retreated and now lit the wick. The goats reached the bridge. They scurried on quick. Too late, the troll heard the trip-trap he'd feared. The bridge boomed and broke, and the goats disappeared. Boom! The troll ran in fright. He scanned the ravine. He shouted and searched, but no goats could be seen. The goats tumbling, terrified, bleating, and spun, then crashed into bushes below, one by one. The troll shouted down when he heard the goats bleat. "I am so sorry. Have you grass to eat?" The big goat just gaped, and then he groaned at the view. In search for the greenest, he ended up blue. The end. That was really cute. How did that mouse get in our house? There's a mouse in our house. A mouse in our house. How in the world is that mouse in our house? He must have come in from the barn. Did someone see him run across the farm? Ruff, ruff, barked the dog on guard. Perhaps he knows how a mouse got in our yard. Chirp, chirp, tweeted the birds in the tree. Were they able to see if that mouse used a key? Quack, quack, said the ducks in the pond. They think he got in using a magic wand. Bah, bah, said the goat by the pole. Did that mouse crawl inside through a hole? Hee-haw, hee-haw. That's not what donkeys actually sound like, by the way. I wonder what that donkey saw. Did he see him sneak inside our dog's paw? Oink, oink, said the pigs in their pen. How did this mouse get into our den? Nay, nay, said the horse eating hay. Did that mouse come inside on a sleigh? Moo, moo, said the cow in the grass. Someone who saw him run at last. Meow, meow, said the cat on the floor. That doesn't sound like either. Right before he chased that mouse out the door. Mama screamed and jumped onto her chair as the mouse ran by and gave her a scare. The cat chased the mouse until he was gone. Throughout the house and across the lawn. "Ribbit, ribbit," said the frog by the lake, inviting all the animals over for some cake. The cat and the mouse made up and became friends. Everyone was happy, and that's how our story ends. The end. Sam, the sneezing scarecrow. Poor Sam. All he ever wanted was to scare the pesky crows. But if he went too close to them, he'd get an itchy nose. His friends would sneak behind the birds and they'd holler, "Boo!" But Sam would give himself away when he'd cry, "Achoo!" He never could get near enough to scare the birds away, so he left to find another job. It was the only way. He traveled down a country road and wondered what to do. He passed some birds along the way, which made him go, "Achoo!" He walked until he reached a farm, then asked if he could help. But when a sheep tried eating him, he scurried with a yelp. Oh no! So he became an astronaut. He even went to space. But bits of hay kept falling off and floating around his face. Oh dear. He tried to be a lifeguard, but was that a silly whim? How can you rescue people when you don't know how to swim? It's true. He tried to pen a book to share the stories of his plight, but scarecrows have no fingers, so poor Sam couldn't write. He carried on in search of work till one November day, when someone said, "Please come with us, we need a man of hay." But Sam ran off when he found out it was bonfire night. "Do not come near me with that flame, I won't be set alight." Eventually, he realized just what he had to do. "It's time I went back home again," he uttered, feeling blue. But when he reached his former field, change was in the air. Some bigger crows had come to town, and they were hard to scare. All huddled in a corner, in a rather sorry state. His scarecrow friends were being pecked. Oh, what an awful fate! Sam crouched behind a wall to think, though he was quite scared. But when his nose began to twitch, "I've got it," he declared. The big mean crows puffed out their chests and strutted around the place. They laughed as they ate all the crops, right in each scarecrow's face. "Don't even try to stop us. There's nothing you can do." But in the midst of mocking them, there was a loud "Achoo!" Don't worry, I didn't actually sneeze. It's okay. Duck doesn't like it when I sneeze. The biggest crow seemed caught off guard and looked around in fright. "That sounds like Sam. He must be back," Sam's friend said with delight. "Who's Sam?" The anxious birds cried out. "We shouldn't hang around. He's got to be a dreadful beast. Just listen to that sound." "Achoo!" Sam's booming, mighty roar scared the birds off for good. They squawked and screeched and flapped away as quickly as they could. "Oh, Sam," said his grateful friends, extending massive hugs. "We're happy you are back, dear friend. You saved us from those thugs." "We knew you had it in you, Sam. You truly are the best." For none of us could scare those crows. We really are impressed. From that day on, Sam always had a grin upon his face. At last, he'd found the perfect job. At last, he'd found his place. The end.